So here's my audience. Did you guys know that you originally did not have to go to college to become a teacher? Well, it's true. Today you will hear about the history and uprising of the teaching profession. I am attending Ball State for a degree in education. Therefore, I find it very important to see how far we have come in education. Not only for women, but for the importance of the job itself. Today we know we cannot get a career without some sort of education, whether it be trade school or college. Today I will talk about the beginnings of teaching, why the common school was a huge importance, and intro to women in teaching. According to PBS, teachers were all male, and they weren't even considered teachers. They were actually considered schoolmasters because they had no education in teaching. These schoolmasters were farmers or innkeepers or any other kind of job that had an off-season. And in this off-season is when they would teach the students. And they would teach them in these one-room schoolhouses, which I'm sure many of you guys have seen. Okay, so something similar to that, so they'd all be in one room. And the highest grade was 8th grade. So they only had to have up to an 8th grade education. And according to the U.S. Department of Education, they only had to persuade the school board that they were of moral character. Now, there wasn't much respect for teaching back then because this wasn't considered a career. It's considered a stepping stone job. They would use this job to get their foot in the door to become lawyers or judges or something of that nature. In the 1830s, however, that all changed, according to PBS, with the introduction of the common school brought to us by Horace Mann. It was the first ideal of a public school, and it was free, universal, and had no religious affiliation. Now, with this public schools, just like today, the common schools had to have one in every district, and every student had to attend, which meant they had to be more schools, which meant more teachers, and with the influx of teachers, there weren't enough male teachers to go around, so this is when women teaching started to come into play. But, according to PBS, in the 1840s is when there was a huge influx of women teaching. Because this is when around the time when the government would realize that they only had to pay women teachers 1/3 of the price that they paid male teachers. And they realized that women teachers were actually pretty experienced because they were in charge of dame schools, which were in-house preschools. The one problem with women teachers is that they were only 14 or 15 years old. So some of their 8th grade male students were actually taller than them, and they would tease them or bully them, their own teachers. So some governments in certain states started thinking of ideas of how to control this. So they thought of normal schools, which were like a secondary education of how to be a teacher and control a classroom. But the only problem with normal schools is that it was not in every state. Therefore, some kids were getting a great education with teachers that were educating how to teach, and other students who weren't getting an education, they were getting education by farmers or innkeepers, like I mentioned earlier. Now, these normal schools ended up becoming a universal program, which today we know as the Teachers College. And as we all know today, you have to get a degree from the Teachers College to become a teacher. As you can see, the teaching profession has come a long way from anyone being able to be a teacher. It is more respected now that it requires a college degree and continued professional development. Today I talked about the beginnings of teaching, the common school, and women in teaching. While some may argue that the importance of teaching is overlooked and their pay is underrated, we have to look at how far we have come. Horace Mann changed education with the common school, which also brought women into the field. I can only hope to see education continue to grow over the upcoming years, and I cannot wait to be a part of it.
Amen.
And here...
A+.